guys, so today we're taking another historic mansion tour. Brent's going to be taking us through this house. This is called the Kell House. So what's the deal with this house here?
Kell was an early founder of Wichita Falls. He built this amazing house. This is like, you know, one of the nicest houses in Wichita Falls, done in that neoclassical style. A lot of great details inside though. Still some work that needs to be done. Our restoration was really an exterior restoration, but you'll see there's some work that needs to be done inside. Awesome. A lot of cool stuff here.
And you said this was neoclassical, and
yeah,
from what I understand, that's like a revival of classical, or?
Yeah, the columns really, and that front porch with the two-story front porch and then the lower porch around is a pretty common form right around the turn of the century. Thistle Hill has that same tall form with the porch around it. So
yeah, and Thistle Hill, guys, is another historic mansion tour Brent took us on. That video is actually on his channel. I will link that at the very top of the description so you can go check it out. This is the most grand staircase I've ever seen. Like, I'm just waiting for Leonardo DiCaprio to turn his head and look at me. Amazing house, and you guys are getting ready to redo it.
Hopefully you'll do some work there too.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Let's check this out.
So this porch is completely redone. You can see how new the little base, the attic bases are, but all the balustrade is completely redone. Vossel carved a new Ionic capital.
That's
and
so cool.
He carved a new one, and then we used that to cast those ones there. So those are a composition, exterior composition plaster type product that is on all the capitals.
So what would this room be?
So this is a parlor, right? So this is a French room, right? You can see it because the mantles in the French style. The overmantel, the carving, all of that's in plaster. And actually you can see in this corner where, we did an exterior restoration, we needed an interior restoration now, but that's how this room would have been put together. That plaster would have come in probably 4-foot lengths, and then the plasterer would have put it up and put it on here. But all of these parts and pieces are all plaster. The base is wood, but you'll get a detail up there, that crown was cast as one piece.
So when you see stuff like this, and say you're walking into this house for the first time, do you automatically know, like, oh, this is all plaster? Do you have to do a little bit of investigation to kind of? The
way it's cracked, it's pretty obvious it's plaster. Also, the amount of detail in here is, and even the seams of where it kind of seams together, kind of show you that it's plaster. Yeah, it's just it's not something that would have been done in wood.
It probably would have just been ridiculous to do this in wood. Right? Well,
for sure. In 1904, whenever this house is in Wichita Falls, no way.
Yeah.
Right. This would have had to come in on the railroad and come from a mill, maybe as far away as like St. Louis or something like that.
So is plaster seen or viewed as kind of like, oh, well, it's plaster, it's not wood? Was there ever that kind of stigma about it?
Plaster was a superior product.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Plaster would have been something that was that only the wealthy would have had.
So this is done up nice.
It's done up really nice.
It's not second class.
This was them showing off, right? This is them, yes, we have a grand entry, but we have this French drawing room, and look at us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they did good because I'm looking at it. So we're in this French room. This room is amazing. I was under the impression that plaster was a little bit inferior, but it turns out it's superior. So I need to start figuring out how to cast and mold stuff in plaster, because look what you can do. I mean, this French room, and I just learned about French moldings. Brent just did a drop on our Passion for Craft page. If you guys want to dig down deep into this stuff, check us out on our Patreon page. Brent is sharing if you haven't seen his library, he's sharing plates and pages from there where you can really dig in and learn this stuff. But he just did one on French moldings, and what I noticed about French moldings, at least in my opinion, is they oftentimes look like they're melting. I don't know, like wax. They kind of like remind me of wax, like dripping and like dropping down, and this is really no different. There's a lot of like shape and curvature here all over this stuff. But yeah, gorgeous French room. I mean, amazing moldings, amazing crown molding up there, all in plaster. It's crazy.
So this is where you start seeing kind of this, this layering and this age coming in. In my mind, I look at this and go, particularly you can see it from the outside, but we now have casement windows and everything else in the house is double hung. So this was, I believe, a sun porch, okay? But look at the tile floor, so that a really nice floor. Remember, we had a wood floor on the front porch. This was either closed in because we've got the casement windows on it, or it was, originally an open porch that they closed in with the windows later. So it's kind of interesting. It's I don't know. I think it's just kind of that cool storing and layering that makes it interesting.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you're always talking about. It's like, what's the narrative of the house? What's the story it's telling? And I know even when you build a new house that, from the ground up, you try to include little things like this so it doesn't feel so just new and mechanical.
We're talking today about this house that we built ground up. It's a big house. There's a lot of cool details.
The way these houses would have grown is that you'd have had a main body house, and then you have these appendages to come off. And so I think a new house is more interesting when it has this layering of age.
Yeah.
And so they're just like this one. This is a cool house, right? Why is it cool? Well, it's like there's always quirky, weird things going on that make you go, oh, that's fun, kind of how they did this. I wonder what happened. And if you can do that on a new house, right? Hey, I wonder what happened here. Like at that barn project, you've got the log cabin piece. Like, what's the log cabin doing there? Like, they've got this timber frame on the inside, and what's this happening here? And so,
and you did the exact same thing here, where you put casements in the log cabin,
right?
And then
exactly, double hungs everywhere else. Yeah,
that's sweet.
Here again, we're walking into another addition, okay? And that clue that gives it away is this gum, which is you've now seen on a few of these different properties. But in the 20s, gum was the hot wood, and we see it in those stop houses, and we see it in here. And so we know that this was an original exterior wall. This library got added in the 20s, I guess, 25 maybe, and but it's really pretty. It's all done in gum, and it's good looking, but it's an addition.
I mean, it's old still, but it looks newer than the rest of the house, which is
exactly.
crazy. It's a crazy thing to notice. Now, would you ever do a gum room on a new build?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think the problem we've had in trying to restore some of these gum rooms is getting good gum, because this red gum is hard to get, and so there's a lot of sapwood in it, and it just doesn't have the same color and grain quality that we've found. And so it would have to be a search for some good gum, but
you would
definitely do it. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. So
it definitely has a distinct look to it. The gum.
It does.
It looks real sober and serious.
Yeah.
And the books. It's it looks perfect for a library.
No, I agree. That's good.
So the next pause on our tour here is going to be talking about the millwork in this gum room. And this is the third gum room that Brent has taken us to. And we actually got to work on the second one that we saw and do some restoration there. It was fun, but let me tell you, it's one of those ones where you measure 5 times and cut once. Because like you said, that gum wood is hard to come by, especially the kind that looks right. So yeah, we're in this one now. This looks amazing. It's always a real serious place. It's usually a library. They've got amazing books. Like this one up here says Trees, Shrubs, and Woody Vines of the Southwest. I mean, there's a whole book on shrubs and vines, and it's just crazy. It's amazing what people used to accomplish before TikTok. But yeah, let's talk about this mantle. This is gorgeous, of course. We have what I believe is called, I think this is called a Belection molding. I'll let Brent correct me on that if I'm wrong. But this one just going around, this kind of picture frame around the mantle. Love this marble. The veins in this marble is just gorgeous. Then we have our main, frieze here. Then we got our mantle shelf top, and obviously our over mantle is this paneled wall of solid gum wood. It's amazing. And this is Mr. Joseph Kell. I'm assuming this was the homeowner, because this is called the Kell House. So this right here is just gorgeous. I think it's got the plinth block supporting the molding there. It looks so powerful, so strong. But what I like about these type of mantles that do look powerful and strong like this is I always like when they can incorporate some feminine characteristics. Like this looks totally girly, but the the combination of the two, there's one at Winterthur that Brent showed. It's my favorite thing ever. It blows my mind every time I see it. It's like it's so powerful and perfect, but it has like decorative ornamentation. It just balances so good, and I think they've accomplished that here too. People were shorter back then. All right, Brent, I'll meet you up there in a minute. I want to just stop here and appreciate this swoop. You know I love my swoops and my sweeps, and this one's no different. So we've got this wainscot, this is done in oak, and it's a recessed panel wainscot. And instead of just taking this thing straight up, I always talk about this in these historical houses, they just got creative and said, you know what, we're just going to show off our craftsmanship skills, and we're going to sweep this thing for the world to see. We're not just going straight in linear lines, we're going to throw some curves in it. So they threw a curveball, just went right up here, and then continued this way. They had to curve their top rail, obviously their cap, the molding under the cap, and then, you know, they had to do this right here. Now this is called a hunting miter. I've never done one of these. I look forward to one day doing one. So if you have one coming up, Brent, let me know. They're cool. Basically what it is you think of a miter, right? You've got one piece of wood coming into another piece of wood. This is 245s, right? It's like anything. It's basic carpentry. But when you have a hunting miter, you're basically mitering in to a circle or an ellipse, just some kind of arch. So instead of mitering two linear pieces like in that 90, just imagine you're joining a straight piece to a circle, because that's all they're doing here. I mean, this is our straight piece, and just imagine a big circle here that continues. Like if you took this to, you know, its eternal ending, you would end up back here, because a circle is just, you know, a circle. It's never ending. So you have this big drawn out circle, you're mitering a straight piece into that. That's a hunting miter. But this is sweet.
Going to the second floor, it's interesting. There's, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms up here. There's 2 baths, which is, you know, so there's not much here. This is kind of the master back here. Here's the sister's house that was done, and so they're somewhat similar, but they were competing against each other. And so this is the
sibling rivalry.
Yeah, exactly.
Where is that one located?
It's close by. It was on a farm. It was in the area.
Yeah.
But they're competing.
I think this sister won.
So this is a pretty cool mantle. It's interesting the way they've kind of put it together. You know, you probably recognize some of it. Like here's your entablature, right? Mm-hmm. So there's your architrave.
Yeah.
And then there's your frieze, and then the bed mold. You know, and there's not really a corona, but then, you know, there's your cornice, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So column, you know, entablature. This is kind of a panel detail, and this is like goutte. You ever heard that term?
I have not.
So
yeah.
on the bottom of triglyphs, you'll have these nails that go up in there, and they're called goutte, G-U-T-T-A-E, and they're thought to be the original nails that would have held the beam together.
Okay.
So it's kind of a weird, you know, archaic term that is still being used for decoration, and that's kind of what that is. It's kind of a funky detail, but I think it's really handsome. You know, this like bow across the front is really pretty, but you don't like look at it and go, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
kind of like,
it's like what?
It's weird how they put all that together. There is some you know, historic precedent looking back at Italian pieces and stuff like that, where you would have seen some of this. So there's probably some inspiration, some just being creative and kind of coming up with stuff.
So thanks, Brent, so much for taking us on this tour. I love doing these. We're going to do more of these in the future. Great. And what I love about it is it's literally like getting into a time machine and going back into the, when did you say this was built?
Early 1900s.
Early 1900s, yeah. And you can pick out stuff. You can find all the quirky stuff, incorporate stuff into your building, stuff for your clients. I'm sure you probably pick up stuff from these places and use it. So it's always interesting, and I really appreciate it. So.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I'm glad you like them, because I love going through these houses and seeing, and I do learn from the past. I do see these things and I go, oh yeah, that's how we should build that today. So yeah, it's good.
If you guys want to dig deeper down this rabbit trail of how this stuff was put together, of how the historical precedent for all this stuff, check out the link at the top of the description. I'm gonna leave a link to our Passion for Craft. It's our Patreon page, our podcast with myself, Brent, and his son Jackson, and we're digging into all the nitty-gritty details. If you have clients who want a feature that wouldn't ultimately prove architecturally wise for their home's look, how have you steered them away from that tactfully?
No, you idiot. No. You don't put vinyl on a historic house.
Which is true. I mean, usually...
That's how you do it with your clients, right?
Usually I will steer them to the historic precedent, and if they just are adamant, then it's their house. I do what they want. But they...
So here we go. Let's play it out. I'm a client. I'm your client. All right. Hey, Brent. I saw this Instagram video, and there's this really cool feature I want to put on my house. Insert bad thing here.
I would say
I want to put vinyl on my house.
I'd say, well, here's the conversation we've been having about your house. Okay,
yeah.
We're trying to do a Tudor revival house, making up the style.
This is great. No, we're making up all of this right now.
Tudor revival style house,
yeah.
Which means that it's going to be defined by these materials. Okay, the ones that are going to be most recognizable are the stone, the pitch of the roof, the slate, all these different things that are going to characterize and help narrate and create a story that is believable. So, introducing X product
vinyl siding
in your house
gonna look great.
is going to be a disconnect, and so it's going to cause you to kind of go, wait, I was in an English countryside, and now all of a sudden I'm in Plano, Texas, right? And so what happened? Where did I go? And so that's probably why I wouldn't use that product.
Check it out, and we'll see you guys on the next one.